All right. I made sure this week that I was smiling and holding up something interesting for the beginning because I learned that the thumbnail for lives takes like the first frame and just makes it the thumbnail for the image or for the whole video. And last week I looked pretty grumpy. So this week I made sure that I was all smiles and ready to go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about colors in nature, which I think is a beautiful topic. And there are lots of colors. Hello to Eileen and Red Rabbit, and hello to Miss Jen and Mr. Jace, and hello to everybody else. Please share your name if you're watching. And since today is about colors, I thought it would be interesting if I'm gonna go through a whole bunch of different colors you can find in nature. But if you can think of other things that are certain colors that I'm talking about, then go ahead and feel free to share it. And if you want to share your favorite color, absolutely, go ahead and share it. My favorite color is blue. I really like blue. So go ahead and share your favorite color if you feel so inclined. So to start off with colors in nature, I want to start by saying that there are many colors in nature, and all of those colors serve a purpose for whatever object has the color. So there's a giant diversity of color, and nature would not be able to survive without that diversity of color. Life itself is able to thrive and survive the ups and downs of life because of our diversity. So it is a good thing to have many different colors, and each color makes something unique and special in its own way. All right, we got some colors here. Miss Jen's favorite color is green. I knew that. I'm pretty sure it's an olive green, more specifically, Miss Jen. But Jace's is red, which is an interesting development in that household. We'll see how that goes. Allegra is black, and if I were to be an art snob, I would say that black is not a color, it's a shade, but I'll give it to you. Ronan's favorite color is red. I would only expect that from Red Rabbit. And yes, Miss Jen's least favorite color is red, but that doesn't mean that red is any less special. So, speaking of red, let's talk about red. And to start, we're going to look at a flower. So, I'm back in the garden. Things are growing. Vanta black is darker than black. Excuse me, Allegra, I'm sorry. All right, here's our red. This is a geranium flower. Has this beautiful, vibrant red color on the flower, and that is to attract the pollinators. And why is it red? And that is because red is actually the opposite color of green. So there's lots of green, and we'll talk about why the leaves are green in a little bit. But this plant wants pollinators to come to the flowers, not to the leaves. So it makes the flowers really stand out against all the green and all the leaves. And so I want you to look at this color wheel that I was holding up before. These are the 6 main colors, and the colors that are opposite each other are opposite colors on this wheel. So red is over here, the opposite color of red is green, the opposite color of orange is blue, the opposite color of yellow is purple. And that's important because opposite colors stand out really well against each other. So it makes it easy to see, for example, this red flower against these green leaves. So keep that in mind with this. Yeah. So the purpose of this red is to make sure that the flowers stand out so that pollinators can go to the flowers, which helps them to reproduce and make seeds. So there you go, Red Rabbit. There's your red. We start off with your favorite color. Now the next is orange. And of course, the only thing I could think of for orange is an orange, besides a nice sunset too. And for those of you who have just joined us, feel free to share your favorite colors. I know some people have joined since I last mentioned that, so feel free to share your favorite colors with us if anybody likes orange. And what's interesting about oranges is that when they grow, they're green. And depending on where they grow in the world, they may stay green or they may turn orange. So warmer climates where you don't get a lot of snow, the oranges actually stay green. But in the United States, especially up here in Connecticut, they turn orange. And that is because inside the orange is something called chlorophyll, which we'll talk about in a little bit with the leaves, but it's what plants use to help make their food. And in cold climates, that chlorophyll dies off and is removed from the cell, and then you get this orange color. But in warm climates, the chlorophyll doesn't die off, so it stays in and the orange stays green. That's confusing to say. Oh yes, Miss Jen said a newt is also orange, the red F stage of a newt, which is like the teenager stage. But I don't have any newts here, so I'm going with an orange. And what's interesting actually is that our minds associate green fruit with not being ripe. So actually, people take oranges and they'll put them in colder climates or put them in a fridge or something to cool them down, which actually kills off that chlorophyll. Or they can use some sprays and it removes the chlorophyll so that it looks nice and juicy, like a nice, good orange that you would want to eat, because you may not want to eat, psychologically, you may not want to eat a green orange. Yeah, so that's orange. Now yellow. Don't worry, I'm not going to bring out a banana. Yellow, I want you to take a look at these flowers here. But we're not focusing on the flowers themselves, we're focusing on who's hanging out in them. And not so much this guy, because he doesn't have a stinger. Of course, all the honeybees are on the other side. Let's see if I can go find one of the honeybees. I see one over here. Oh, look at you. You're so beautiful. Can you all see him? With all that pollen stuck to his legs. So yellow is found on bees and wasps. And that yellow, in this case, is used to signify that these bees are toxic, that they have a stinger, they can really hurt you, so it's a warning to stay away. The bright, vibrant yellow is used a lot in nature as a sign to stay away because I can hurt you. Oh, there's another one way up over there. I wish it would focus a little bit better. And so obviously we all know that bees are yellow and black, and that high contrast helps us to see them better, because they want to be seen. They want to say, hey, don't mess with me because I have a stinger. But also there's another animal that if you've been to our nature center, you would know, the yellow-spotted salamander. We have one that it also is black with these bright yellow spots. And that signifies that, and that tells predators that the salamander is actually poisonous. So don't eat our salamander. They have a gland right around their neck that if they're stressed out or they're eaten, they can secrete poison out of their neck, which would give a nice strong reminder to a predator that you shouldn't be eating this salamander. So yeah, and there are animals in the ocean that do that as well, bright worms and stuff like that that are toxic, and so they share that with the world. And snakes, too, also share their bright colors if they're venomous. They're saying, I want you to see that I'm here and that I'm dangerous. So, what comes after yellow is green. And green, of course, I'm going to talk about trees again because I love trees. what's interesting about trees is that the leaves are meant to absorb light, right? And they're absorbing I can't speak today for some reason. They're absorbing all different light forms or light waves except for green. So the color that you see that a leaf is, that's green, is the only color that the tree is not accepting. It accepts every other wavelength, every other form of light. So here's our maple leaf, and inside our maple leaf, inside all the little cells inside, is that chlorophyll again. And chlorophyll uses the sun energy and converts it into sugar, which helps the power the tree to grow nice and tall. And it happens all summer long until the fall, when it starts to get colder and that sugar gets pumped down into the ground and lives in the roots all winter, and our leaves drop down. And then when it gets warmer, it uses all that stored sugar energy, pumps it up, and that's where we catch it and get our maple syrup. But the stuff that doesn't get caught for maple syrup continues to go up and grows new leaves. Now, the chlorophyll here is what's green, and that's because it's not accepting the green light waves, so it's sending it back out at us. But in the fall, when it starts to get colder, that chlorophyll dies, and you start to see the other colors that are in the leaves. So that's when you get the nice, beautiful yellows and reds and oranges and browns that can paint our landscapes and our forests. So those colors are always in here, but right now they're covered by chlorophyll. The little organelle inside the cells that converts sunlight into sugar. That seems like a cool ability, and I kind of wish that we had that. That would be fun. Or to take the sun energy and turn it into a giant bowl of macaroni and cheese. I think that would be a good skill. So next, after green, is my favorite color, blue. And I was really hoping that I could talk about the sky. So up in the sky, there's just one little spot there is blue. Everything else is white today because there's overcast. But we got blue up over here. And sometimes people think that the sky is blue because it's reflecting from the ocean, but it's actually the opposite. That's why the ocean looks blue. But the sky is blue because of how the light waves move in the atmosphere, and it angles at a certain way, which to us makes it look blue, which I think is very nice. But that color can change in the sun during the sunrise or the sunsets. You get those bright reds and oranges. And again, that's just how the light is angled through our atmosphere. It's very interesting that something as simple as light moving through atmosphere can make these beautiful colors in the sky. And of course, another thing that is blue, because blue is actually the least common color that can be found in nature. You don't really find it much. You find it on the sky, you find it on the water, but again, water actually is clear as long as it's not dirty. But besides that, there's really not much blue besides this right here. And this, I like to call it fairy wood, but it's actually, this is probably from a birch tree, but the blue stain on it comes from something called a blue stain fungus, which I think is very creatively named. And what's very interesting about this is that it's not like it's just been painted on the outside. If you were to rip this apart, even on the inside, it's still blue. I don't know if you can see that. But that's very interesting to me. And actually, people who do woodworking really like to use this wood, and I imagine it makes some beautiful projects. So if you're into woodworking, check this stuff out. But it's a fungus. It's like a mushroom, but it doesn't grow very big. They have little tiny mushrooms that grow from it, but it's nothing like the big hen of the woods or even the mushrooms that you find at the grocery store. Yeah, it's a fungus, not a mold. But yeah. So that is that. And our last color to talk about is purple. Anyone here a fan of purple? So purple is also not really found too much. I was thinking like eggplants, plums, those kinds of fruits. But since I already talked about a fruit, I didn't want to talk about a fruit again. But I am going to talk about a flower again. So these are violets, which is easy because they're purple, and violet is a shade of purple. So that's just very easily named. But you can see this is a flower too, just like the geranium that we looked at earlier, which was red. And the color red was used by the plant because it stands out against green, because they're opposite colors. But this flower can't also be red because then it wouldn't stand out against the geranium. So it had to choose a different color. So this one chose purple. But the opposite color of purple is actually, if we look at our chart here, here's purple. The opposite color of purple is yellow. So in order for these flowers to really stand out, they added little tiny bits of yellow so that they also have opposite colors so that they can stand out to the pollinators. So again, they're not really standing out against the green, but they're standing out against themselves, and they still pop and they still catch your eye. I imagine a lot of you guys, as you're walking down the road and you see these, they really do catch your eye. They are very beautiful. They're beautiful to us, and they're beautiful to pollinators. So that is why you see the little yellow spots, because it helps the purple stand out even more. And it had to choose a different color than the geranium, which was red, because it has to stand out against that one as well. So interesting choices made in nature. And I think that we are very fortunate as humans to be able to see light. Nature was made beautiful for a reason, more than just our enjoyment of it, but also it is good for us to be attracted to beautiful things because they help us. We all find fruit to be vibrant and beautiful, and that's healthy for us. Everybody likes a nice blue sky, and that's because it's a clear day, which is comfortable for us to live in. What other things? So many beautiful things, and they're beautiful for a reason beyond just us enjoying their beauty, which is also fine too. And remember, all different colors serve their purpose, and diversity is what keeps nature thriving. So that's all that I have to say about colors for today. So I'm going to end today like we've been ending, with looking at the chicks. So let's take a gander here. If anybody has any questions about colors or anything they want to share, any other things, does anybody know any other things that might be blue in nature, or purple, or orange? If Jenna's watching, does that mean that Alec is watching? Because I'll send a little hello to Alec. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, good. Look what they've done. Come on, ladies. I'll have to refill that after we're done. All right, let's see. I'm going to set this up. Great. I'm stuck here. Here they are. Oh gosh, they're all in for you there. They're actually pecking at the at the phone. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Oh my gosh. You're swarmed! Chick attack! Oh golly. I'm trying to see if any comments are popping up, but I can't see because they're covering it too much. Allison George says, hi, chicks. They're all saying hi back. I wonder what their favorite colors are. This is pretty exciting. Hopefully they don't figure out how to end it prematurely. So, I'll leave you guys here. Then if you have any comments or questions, you can put them up below the video after I post it, and I'll go back throughout the day and look at them and see what I can answer, and if not, what I can look up. Feel free to share your favorite colors or interesting stories you have that are related to colors, or share some beautiful things that you've seen in nature, and we can discuss perhaps why they are that color and why they look that way. Again, thank you to everybody who donates to us. It's really appreciated, and I'm going to sign off from here if I can reach. What? Hey. I want to see if I can get one to show you. Hello? 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 Oh my gosh, calm yourself. Calm yourself. Hello? All right. Peace out, home skillets.